Hello everyone, I am back, and I am rocking the old shades. I haven't worn these in a long time. They were my trademark in the early days of my video making, but decided to complete the ensemble of this douchebag look I've got going for me with the hair and the beard and everything. So, you know, we'll see how it goes. But anyway, I've got a lot to talk about in this video, and it's all WWE related, which is rare for me. I don't often talk about WWE much these days because, well, Raw and SmackDown bore me so much, and that was even before the quarantine. I'm like, why would I even bother? And we're past WrestleMania season and everything, so I haven't had much reason to talk about WWE much these days. But Money in the Bank was this past weekend. We also got part one of the Undertaker Last Ride documentary series, and we had Becky Lynch's bombshell announcement on Monday Night Raw. So I figured I'd talk about all of that stuff, because all of it is very interesting, and I've saw it all, so I might as well talk about it. I guess I'll start off with Becky Lynch, just to kind of get that out of the way. She has forfeited the Raw Women's Championship, given it to Asuka, who won the Money in the Bank ladder, we'll call it a ladder match, the night before at Money in the Bank. And the reason she did this is she announced that she is expecting a child. She is pregnant. And I think the first thing I want to say is congratulations to the happy couple of Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch. I know they're engaged. Last I heard, they were engaged. I highly doubt this pregnancy was planned, especially since Becky was such a huge component of the WWE product. I highly doubt her taking, almost a year off to go become a mother is not something that was planned. But, children are a blessing. And if there's love and happiness in the relationship, then you should raise happy and loving children, or whatever. Trying to be as corny and cliche as I can possibly be. But congratulations to them, seriously. And I'm sure WWE management is pulling their hair out, because it's like, all right, so Roman has taken a sabbatical as long as the coronavirus is going on. And there's some interesting things going on there where WWE doesn't want to mention him on their programming. I haven't talked about that because I don't know what the reasoning is behind that. I don't want to assume the worst of them, but it's not good optics either way. And Becky, who, let's be honest, aside from stars who are part-timers like Brock Lesnar and The Undertaker, she's arguably the biggest star in the company. So to have her go down or take time off and leave, especially now, that's got to hurt. I'm sure they're scrambling right now and pulling their hair out, trying to figure out how they're going to fill that void. Because as far as the women go, she was far and away the biggest star in the women's division. And, but that's what happens. That type of stuff happens. Top guys get hurt, life gets in the way, like we saw with Becky, so they've just got to make do. And I wasn't watching the shows anyway, to be perfectly honest. But it just WWE management is going to have to make do. I don't think that they're lost without Becky. They've had to make do with bigger losses in the past, but I'm sure it's a headache to try and fill voids like that, and I'm sure it's not fun for them to have to, make plans without Becky Lynch, who's clearly their biggest female star. So, but either way, I'm sure this pregnancy wasn't planned. That's the other part of it. So I'm sure it was a surprise to everybody. But in any case, I still offer my congratulations to Seth and Becky. Hopefully everything goes well for them. And man, I'm thinking this might be the end of Becky as a full-time star. Not permanently, like you'll never see her in the ring again, but I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying it's like, man, when it comes to like, okay, how's the kid going to be raised? Do they want two parents on the road full-time? How long do they want to keep that up? So I don't know. That's something that Seth and Becky are going to have to figure out themselves, but in any case, it was a shocking announcement. The segment itself, I thought, came off really well and emotional. I especially liked Asuka's reaction because apparently she didn't know that she was going to be getting the title, so she acted appropriately and acted, joyous and celebrated it and everything, and almost to a cartoonish degree. And then Becky told her she was going to be a mom, and then she immediately congratulated Becky. I'm like, oh, that's kind of sweet. That's sweet. You saw something sweet there. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do to fill the void. It's going to be tough to do, but again, in the midst of the coronavirus shows that we've got right now. I'm not watching them anyway, so I'm not going to feel the loss immediately. But once the crowds start coming back and we get back to normalcy, it's going to be very interesting to see how they move forward without Becky, because they're not going to have her for a long time. So we shall see. But anyway, like I said, congratulations to Seth and Becky, and best of luck to them. And here's to, if I had a drink with me, I would raise a toast and have a happy and long family, and all that other good jazz. So in any case, what else? Money in the Bank. Yeah, I watched that, and I had no interest in watching this show until I heard what the Money in the Bank ladder match was going to be, where they were going to have it at WWE headquarters and start at like the ground floor and work their way up to the building where the ladder match would take place on top of the building. And I'm like, okay, this is going to be stupid, but I kind of want to watch it. It's like, I kind of want to see what the hell they do in this thing. Rest of the card, didn't care about it all whatsoever. It's just more awkward matches inside of an empty gym, and it just doesn't work. Especially in WWE's case, because God, it's still so weird to me that so many of the talents play to a crowd that's not there. It just looks weird. It feels weird. Why are you playing to people and gesturing to people and trying to get a reaction out of people who are not there? And it's way more apparent in WWE, at least in the shows I've watched. AEW, they at least have some of the wrestlers surrounding the ring, so you get some kind of reaction, and there's some justification for what's going on whenever they do play to people. But it's just, this is just, it just doesn't work, and it's awkward and boring. And the sooner we can get back to, having regular wrestling shows, the better. But, so the stuff inside the Performance Center, I didn't give a crap about. I just kind of, I played it, and I kind of half-watched it. I went off and did other things, did the dishes, did a quick workout, and did other things while all that was going on. So I kind of, like I said, I kind of half-watched a lot of it. But I made sure to watch the Money in the Bank matches that were going on simultaneously. That was the other thing about it that was weird. So wait, the women's match and the men's match are going to be going on simultaneously. All right. I want to see what kind of fucking freak show we get out of this thing. And, of course, none of it made any goddamn sense. There's so many parts of this, I'm like, this makes no sense. How did Undertaker know that AJ was going to be around that room and have that all set up? How did he know that AJ was going to do that? Why is Paul Heyman sitting by himself eating at a buffet table that looks like a setup for a food fight? What's going on here? Why is Brother Love randomly at WWE headquarters? And that's a weird thing. What they did with Brother Love, that's a weird thing that WWE used to do a lot, and they still do every once in a while. When they bring an old person back and they have them backstage, they just have them say their catchphrase and then walk off. And it's almost like treating the old characters like Chuck E. Cheese animatronics or something like that, where it's like, you're just there to say the thing that people know that you say, and that's it. Other than that, just piece the fuck out of here. And I wonder, how many kids today even know who Brother Love is? I mean, I know a lot of people listen to the podcast that he does with Conrad and various other things, but that's more the adult fan base. I wouldn't think that like the young kids watching would have any clue who Brother Love is, but that's more a reason to keep watching the WWE Network and find out who Brother Love is. So maybe it's secretly genius. So a lot of the cameos were kind of like unfunny gags, but there were some funny gags in there. The food fight bit was kind of funny. Vince had the best cameo of the entire thing when Daniel Bryan and AJ go fighting in his office, and he tells them to get out of here. That was funny, and AJ and Daniel like acting like two children that just got scolded. That was kind of funny. Although it is a little weird that, one of the reasons that Austin got over is that he told Vince to go fuck himself. And now it's like we've had an entire generation of wrestlers that are afraid to stand up to Vince. And wouldn't you know it, almost nobody gets over. It's kind of crazy. But that bit was at least funny, so I'll give it that. And, Asuka riding the elevator for most of the match, that was kind of funny. Honestly, I think the worst part of the entire thing was the ladder match part. Once they got to the roof, that's when it got boring. It just became a normal ladder match. Except for Baron Corbin, throwing Ray and Aleister Black off the side, which I don't think I don't think they were trying to convey that he threw them off the side of the building. It kind of looked like on the wide shots that the ring was on kind of like an elevated platform, while also being on top of the roof. So it looked like he threw them off the platform. Again, I didn't really look that closely, but that's what it looked like to me. Obviously, Ray and Aleister are not dead, which is good. But it was, kind of part and parcel for the whole craziness of this entire match. And it was dumb. It made no sense, but it was fun dumb. So I kind of, and again, better than being in an empty gym. So I was kind of like, all right, I can live with whatever it was they did there. It's just that, man, can we get back to regular wrestling play? I mean, we were getting to a point where, like, if they recreated the monster truck fight between Hulk Hogan and the Giant, that would almost seem less stupid. That would almost seem like less insane to do something like that again than it would be to, what they've been doing at WrestleMania and Money in the Bank. But again, when you're put in this situation, what do you do? I don't know. I wouldn't want to be in the situation where I'm having to produce shows, in this whole fucking environment that we're in right now. But it is what it is. So those are my thoughts on Money in the Bank. I thought the ladder match itself, which if you want to call that a ladder match, I wouldn't know. It was fun, dumb nonsense. And for fun, dumb nonsense, I enjoyed it for what it was. It was fun to watch while I was drinking. I'll say that much for sure. And then after that, we got the Undertaker Last Ride documentary, which I thought was very interesting. And basically, part one covered the road to get to Undertaker's match with Roman Reigns at WrestleMania a few years ago. And basically, it was refreshing to see the WWE kind of take this look at Undertaker and kind of present stuff like this, where Undertaker was like, yeah, I don't feel like I'm doing as well as I did earlier on. I don't feel like I'm as good as I was. And yeah, I was saying that years ago. I said it after the Roman Reigns match. I'm like, oh, please, dear God, say that this is the end, because Undertaker looked horrible. And if you watch the behind-the-scenes footage, Undertaker looked like he could barely walk leading into that match. He was there was no reason to put him in the ring for that particular WrestleMania. And the match definitely showed it. Not saying it was from lack of effort. I'm just saying that Undertaker looked like he looked like an old broken down man at that point that needed to go heal up. But it was refreshing to see WWE kind of acknowledge that, rather than, because on commentary they'll say things like Undertaker looks as good as he ever has. I'm like, that's not true. that's not true at all. So that was refreshing. It was also nice to see Undertaker out of character a little bit, because he's been one of the most protected guys in the business as far as how he acts outside of performing and everything. So to see that kind of footage of him being like a normal, down-to-earth dude, and explaining why he wants to keep coming back, because he loves it and he wants to go out on a high note. He's just so desperate to go out on a high note that it's kind of going, kind of working against him. Because I noticed at the WrestleMania 30 match, I was happy they talked about that, because I remember watching that match when it first happened. I was like, Undertaker looks off. Like, he looks really off. And to find out that I heard he had gotten concussed. I didn't realize it was that bad and that severe, to where he had just been completely knocked loopy. And it sounded like what happened to Sting in his match with Seth Rollins, where it was like, it was just his physical well-being was just kind of hanging by a thread, and then at the wrong moment, the thread just cut. And that's kind of what it sounds like happened to Undertaker in that match. I was one of the few that didn't like the match with Bray Wyatt. It sounded like Undertaker was happy with it just because he didn't die. It's like, oh, I got through this without being a stumbling idiot and, not killing myself or my opponent. And it's like, oh, so that went pretty well. I thought the match was bad, but not as bad as some of his other ones. But it's, it'll be very interesting to see how the rest of the documentary series progresses, because the Goldberg match is going to be covered in this thing. And some of the WrestleMania matches that have taken place since then are going to get covered in this thing. So it'll be interesting to see how they cover it and what the end game is. Are they going to say that the Boneyard match was Undertaker's last match? I have absolutely no idea. We'll just have to keep watching the series to find out. But overall, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a good piece of work. And kudos to WWE for allowing Jim Ross and Chris Jericho, who I know that their interviews were taped years ago, but allowing that to be a part of it still, even though they're with AEW, I'm like, that's the type of stuff that I like to see. It's like, look, don't let like petty bullshit get in, and interpromotional wars get in the way of making the best product possible. And even they didn't cut Roman Reigns out of it, even though it said they will not mention Roman Reigns on TV or anything, because I guess if they cut his thoughts out of it, it wouldn't have made any sense. But it's so it was refreshing to see something that was produced that was kind of devoid of WWE bullshit, and they just kind of tried to be as real as possible with it in many ways. And it was great to see. And, at times it was sad to see. It was sad to see Undertaker in that kind of condition. And again, I was saying it, years ago. And I personally feel like he should have retired after WrestleMania 30. I was like, okay, the streak's over. It's probably time to step aside and let it be over. Just let it be over. For the love of God, please. And nope, he had to keep coming. But there's so many guys in wrestling, and Edge kind of touched up on it. It's like you don't want, you can't stop. And if you love it that much, you just can't stop yourself. And even with Goldberg, and he should have stopped after WrestleMania, that match with Brock. And it was like, dude, you can't ask for a better ending than that. And he had to keep coming back, and it's been diminishing returns ever since. And it's like, oh well. But there was that, and I love the Brett Favre comparison that Edge made, where it's like, you can't let go. You just want to keep proving that you can still do it. Even if in the back of your mind, you probably know you can't. So it was very interesting to see them take that look at Undertaker. It was very cool to see like something, something that felt real and felt heartfelt and conveyed all the right emotions and everything. It was a very well-produced documentary, and I'm actually really looking forward to seeing the rest of it. It was like, all right, this is going to be really interesting. Because we don't get this kind of stuff from Undertaker very often. So to see it on the WWE Network, I think is one of the advantages that the WWE Network has over a bunch of other streaming services, where it's like they can give us that type of content that we can't really get anywhere. You can't go online and get an Undertaker shoot interview. They're just not out there. But WWE Network can provide stuff like that, and that's a perfect example of the type of stuff that the WWE Network can offer outside of their normal, regular programming. Undertaker Last Ride gets a thumbs up from me, and I'm looking forward to watching more of it. So, yeah, I think that's all I have for now. Talked about everything I wanted to talk about. So a couple of things. I'm getting ready to watch tonight's Dark Side of the Ring. You'll be getting that video later in the week. You'll also be getting my next Nitro video. That'll be coming hopefully by... Okay, my goal is to have the Dark Side of the Ring video done on Wednesday and the Nitro video done by Friday. And then on Saturday, I'm hoping... I'm going to go the Vimeo route to post my Thundercats video. And hopefully it'll be up by then. And I'll probably upload a little something to be like, hey, Thundercats are loose. Go check out the video. And that's how you'll be able to see that. So hopefully everything works and everything goes according to plan. We'll see. Because, again, that thing turned out to be an hour and a half long. And it's like, come on, I kind of want to show it off. Because it's like, dude, I poured way too much. It's one of the most self-indulgent things I've ever made. But, again, when you're cooped inside for as long as I've been, you look for ways to pass the time. And that was a good way to do it. So hopefully I can get that posted and get that to you guys. But that is all I have for you right now. Thanks again, everybody, for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit the little bell icon so you get notified when I post new videos. And follow me on Twitter. The link is in the description. But that is all I have for you now. Thanks again, everybody, for watching, and I will see you all later.